Another Ants on a Rock video. Welcome to the Ant Corner. Right, firstly I need to apologise because I was supposed to be going live, but basically I'm rubbish with technology and it hates me as much as I hate it. And it just hasn't worked. I'm still trying to load the page on my iPad right now, so I thought I'd just film this on my phone like I would normally do. And I'll put the questions to you here and you can leave me some answers, what you think I should do, and then even leave some questions, whatnot, all in the comments box. I'll read every single one and reply to every single one as I normally try to. So obviously here's the multi-species tank. I'm going to give you a nice little tour and an update because it's been a while. Just moving over here and zoom in a little bit. We have the polydive nest towards the back. As you can see, it is now going up the glass further and further, which is really cool. That started off in just a jug there, so that's now spread behind that wood there. As you can see, the ant crawling over it, and all in between, taking in some of the leaves and that thermometer. Really cool. And then we come forwards, we've got the water test tube, obviously, got to keep that well stocked. We've always got at least 1 or 2 water test tubes in there. And where I like to call my feeding station, that's where I do most of my main offerings for the ants anyways. As you can see, there's some smashing in the ant sugar candy stuff. They absolutely love that. That tower's empty as well. And I will be giving some protein at some point later today. Carrying on the tour, we have this nice log here, which I got from outside. It is what I like to call Chickywig Palace. Chickywigs is what I like to call isopods. My kids call them Chickywigs, so that's kind of the name I go with. So that's Chickywig Palace. Oh, and that's, I think, one of the next subjects we're getting into. Ladybug. Lots of different bugs just keep appearing in there, basically. I think they're coming in because I leave the top open most of the time. Okay, so going back to our tour. Moving along from the log and the feeding area. We have the dense foresty section. Now this massive log is home again to loads of isopods, and there's another log back there somewhere under all of that. Somewhere. But this big piece of driftwood is, like, again, loads of isopods. We've also had the beetles nesting in it, and I think in a little den section here, in there, is red tie millipedes burrowing, which means they're probably producing eggs at the moment. Speaking of eggs, there's an eggshell, and next to the eggshell is a hole, which might be a worm. It might be one of the many millipedes I've got in here. We've got bumblebees, giant olive millipedes, as well as our red ties. So it could be any number of them coming out and feeding during the night, which I normally get to see because I've got lights along the back here which turn on at 10:30 to red light, and my main tank lights turn off at 11, so that whole in between time gets filled with red light. I have no idea what this is. I've just spotted it. Absolutely no idea what that is. Cool. And then if we come along from our foresty section, we got fruit flowering and fruiting, whatever the term is for it. Thornless blackberry bushes I've got in here, so I can reach in and pick them out if I want to, and they're just easier, safer around the kids and stuff like that, and easier to maintain, because I gotta keep a constant control of the barrier and make sure that the plants don't get too high. That's starting to reach too high now, so they'll all get cut back routinely just to maintain tank security. Loads of these ones are actually ready. We've had a few already. The ants don't seem bothered by them. Isopods do. I'm not really sure about anything else, but the isopods really do seem to enjoy them. Right, our pond section. My lovely, amazing pond section. This is one of my favourite parts of the tank, actually. I really do love the pond. It is a hassle though. Literally 5 minutes before I started filming this, I was there cleaning out the pump again, which is fairly easy. You just disconnect the white pipe that you can see, the connecting joint, pull the pump up whilst it's still pumping as such, blow really hard down through the vinyl tube, put it back in place and reconnect it. But when you do this, I don't exactly know why, but it tends to draw all the water out of that back section and pump it into the pond. Now I think because when the water's not flowing, it has time to soak away into the substrate more. It means I've constantly got to refill it when I'm fixing the pump, so that all the water it draws out of that back section, as it fills the pond again, it doesn't go dry in the back section by the time it takes the water to come through the front section into the back section to refill it. So you have to refill as you're getting that pump going again, just to maintain that water level. So there's a little bit of a hassle with that, and as the ants are getting more and more aggressive, obviously putting my hand in there is getting harder. But whatever, I'll continue doing it, or I'll set up a pipe system or something else. I'm very intuitive, I think is the word, like that. So yeah, that'll do. As you can see, there's some cucumber pieces. They need to come out tonight, actually. Crabs. Crab. Well, there's lots of stuff which lives in there. The duckweed's sort of getting out of control. I only had 3 leaves. So basically one of those 3 leaf things to start with. And that was about 6 to 8 weeks ago. What were we on? Episode 6. So about 8 weeks ago I got that. And as you can see, it's grown really well. It's spread throughout the tank. And now I'm having a look at getting rid of some of it before it blocks the filter. So that's always a bonus. The crabs do eat it, but they eat pretty much everything, so they're not going to control the duckweed enough for me. I have given a little bit of eggshell here, just in case the crabs need it for calcium. As they obviously have a hard outer shell, they'll need calcium to molt and reproduce that shell properly. And to stop any failed molts, I want to maintain some kind of calcium source for them. They normally get that from like things like isopods and things like that, but if I can give it to them, then maybe they won't hunt the isopods. I don't know. So that's basically my tour done. Now, on to the questions and things I actually wanted to highlight in this video. Going back over here, as I said, we have a ladybug. Now, ladybugs are awesome, but they're native to England, or as this one is, and this tank is obviously set up to a tropical environment. Now, it wouldn't have flown in if it wasn't happy. Oh, there's an actual fly there as well. Actual fly. See, we've got lots of different stuff, and they just kind of fly in there and appear, which is fine. I mean, I do keep my windows and doors open, especially now it's summer. The top of the tank's open, so it's fine. But do I leave them in or do I take them out? Like I say, this is set up to a tropical environment, and the ants are quite aggressive towards some insects and stuff, but they don't actually seem that bothered by ladybugs and most of the flies going about. It's mainly when I chuck food in that they go for it. As you can see, that ant right in front of the ladybug is actually eating a leftover piece of cucumber that's been put there, and completely ignoring the ladybug, which looks like he's having a nap. We also have other things which have appeared somehow, somewhere. If we look carefully, we might see him, but I doubt it. But we have a snail, a British garden snail, which has somehow got into the tank. I haven't seen like gap in the barrier where he's come down, so I have absolutely no idea how a snail's got into the tank. But yeah, we've got a snail in there now. I spotted him down there last night, and the night before he was underneath of one of these leaves. So that, again, I don't know whether to leave him in, whether it's going to get too hot for him in there, too humid, I don't know. But again, he's made his own way in there, and if that's so, then maybe he's chose that that's like the right environment for him. So let me know what you think I should do with that. Should I be removing these extra UK native insects out of the tropical environment? Should I leave them and wait and see how they get on? You know, they might survive really well. We might end up with a whole population of ladybugs going about, which would be great to tackle any mite outbreaks because they eat mites and stuff. Or we might even end up with loads of snails running about, which will be fine again because they're a great cleanup crew. So let me know what you think on that subject matter to start with. Should we keep them? Should we get rid of them? Other insects that have appeared, if I come over here, it's kind of hard to see. That is a stick insect. And there was a second one somewhere, but that is 100 million% a stick insect. Oh, and he's gone. Hang on. I believe they're Indian stick insects, because that's what I've got. I've got them upstairs in a separate room, completely away. So I don't know how. Right, so basically there's two options. This fern here had spent some time in the, what do you call it, net thingy that I keep the stick insects in, but that was over 6 months ago. It has then spent 3 months in quarantine, and then it's come into this tank a couple of months ago, 2-3 months ago. So all in all, it was a long time ago that it was in with the stick insects, and I hadn't seen anything then. I don't know how long stick insects actually stay as an egg. That is one of my failings. I don't know enough about them. They are really easy to keep, so I did my general research, and I honestly didn't continue doing it. I just keep them. They're really easy. So there could have been eggs on the plant, in the soil, whatever, that have lasted the whole time until now and hatched out, because we've got two, right? The other option is last night I saw a larvae, looked like a caterpillar, and I'll put a clip of it in now. So yeah, it looks like a caterpillar, but it acts really weird, and I hadn't really seen it before and I didn't recognise it. So I thought, alright, well, if it's a caterpillar, I'm going to put it in a multi-species tank. Oh, I just spotted a beetle coming out to play. So yeah, I did put it in a multi-species tank, as you saw from the footage. I thought if it's a caterpillar, it's either going to get eaten or turn into a butterfly and fly out. That's completely fine, no problem with that. I think the beetle is laying eggs again. They love laying eggs all over the little crevasses in this driftwood. So, I lost my train of thought now. Right, so I put this larvae into the tank, and obviously I left it overnight, and then today I saw one stick insect. And then I went out, and I came back, and there was a second stick insect. And there is definitely two, because we've seen both together, fairly close together. There's definitely two. So yeah, I'm not 100% sure if it was that larvae or not, because I definitely only put one larvae in. It seems like it probably was the first thing that I had some eggs on the fern still. So we might end up with loads of stick insects appearing. I really don't know. I know they do lay a lot of eggs, and I was warned that I'd be inundated with stick insects because I've got 6 Indian stick insects upstairs, but that's completely fine. I've got all sorts of means and things to do with them. And in fact, I was going to consider donating some to local schools if they want them as little research projects. Because who doesn't want to have a research project on a stick insect? So, that is the next thing. What do I do with these stick insects? Do I leave them in? Do I take them out? Again, they can survive in a tropical environment. They come from India, I assume, being Indian stick insects, which means they come from a hot environment, but they also survive in like room temperature, which this is not. Obviously, my original plan was to put them into the multi-species tank, but it isn't as high as I was hoping. I was hoping for something with like another foot or 2 on top. So the idea was to, in the future, build another top section on top of this tank to allow for more plant growth, and then the stick insects could come in and do their thing. But what do you think? Do you think I should leave these 2 little ones in there and hope that I don't really see many more? Should I get them out and put them into the enclosure with the other stick insects? There is food because they survive on the leaves of the blackberry bushes. I don't know if they eat the other plants that are in here, but they have been on this fern since this morning. So yeah, let me know what you think about that. We're just gonna, there we go, beetle running about. Whilst I'm here, I'm just going to chuck some flightless fruit flies into the tank, and we can watch the dives go a little bit nuts for a minute. There we go, just a few. A little bit of protein that the dives always appreciate. Right, next on the list is a real tragedy. I was actually quite upset, but you can only get so upset about nature. So, we had 2 crabs arrive to add to our 1 crab. We had Mr. Crabs, Merlin, and Tamatoa. It would seem that one of the crabs has died. I don't know what else to say. I found it in the deepest section of the pond. It was already dead and quite pale at that point, so it had been dead for a while. It could have been a male, and there could be a second male in the tank, as we didn't know what sex Mr. Krabs was, but the 2 new ones we got were supposed to be both male and female. So we could have had 2 males and they could have had a fight. But I can't see that because there doesn't look like there's any damage to the crab. I can't think of any other reason why one of the crabs would have died. There's plenty of food, the other crabs are fine. Maybe it just didn't find a good enough burrow to go into. Maybe it tried to molt and failed. There's a multitude of reasons. It could have just been from the shock of moving. But it is a real shame, so I thought I'd better announce that so that anyone who's interested in my vampire crabs can take note, basically. There is still 2, and I will continue to look after them and care for them like I do, because I absolutely love those vampire crabs. They're so cool to watch, so pretty, and I can't wait for them to grow a little bit, to be honest. They're quite confident. One of them lives in here, in between these two rocks, and Mr. Krabs lives in this burrow here, just behind the log. And they come out most evenings about, I don't know, 8:30, 10 o'clock at night, around that time, towards the evening, and they just have a little mooch about. I've seen them walking around the tank all the way over here, which is pretty cool to see them on land. Ooh, beetles are having a little roam about. There's always something interesting going on in this tank, always something interesting. So, our crab population is down to 2. I think we're going to leave it at that for now. This wasn't really a question, this was more of an announcement. Right. Other things I wanted to talk to you about was, is there any content that I'm not giving you? Is there any of my colonies that you would prefer to see more of? I know I've neglected a few, mainly because there's not a lot to tell. I give a colony update of all my colonies every now and then. So there's not much more to tell, more than I do in them with some of the colonies. They're still in their founding stages, and trying to get footage of that is, well, there's just nothing to show. So yeah, let me know in the comment section if there's anything else that you'd like to see on my channel, any of my colonies you want to see more of, anything basically, just what do you want to see. I've got loads of content prepared, I've got loads of videos in the works, I've got loads more ideas on a list, so it's not like I'm running out of ideas, but I want to make sure that I'm really giving you what you want. The last section that I was going to do in the live tonight was a question and answer section. So if you have any questions for me about me, my ant keeping experience, any of my ants, the multi-species tank, pretty much anything, any questions about anything, even if it's unrelated, stick them in the comments box below and I will get round to answering them for you as soon as possible as well. Obviously, if they're silly questions, I'm just going to laugh at you. I'm not going to give you an answer. So don't be silly. Keep it serious, light-hearted, whatever. And I will get round to every single one. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this little quick thing. I'm sorry I couldn't go live. I will sort my technology issues out. It's all to do with my iPad being rubbish, quite frankly. And everyone using the internet at the same time, the speed connection was just so slow, YouTube said no. So yes, that is the end of this. I hope to read lots and lots of awesome comments below. I will get round to answering all of them. I will take note of any ideas you give me. I will take note of any answers you give to my questions. Got ferns growing there, might have to pull them out. And yeah, keep in contact everyone. It's been great to do this video, and it's a real shame that I couldn't speak to you in the live chat. But as always, see you again, ant fans.